House to Home, brought to you by Remax Diamond Realty.
Welcome back, everybody. Jason Salas here, and this is House to Home, the part of the program where we show you all there is to know about anything having to do with real estate, property, commercial, business, what have you, commercial and residential, I should say. And our friend Liz Duenas from Remax Diamond Realty Guam is here, fresh back from New Orleans.
That's correct.
On the Big Easy. You, of course, were attending the National Association of Realtors conference. How many people actually went?
Wow, I think they were saying there were like 20-something thousand people in attendance.
Wow.
And it was downtown where the convention center is. And you know, that place was ravaged during one of the storms a number of years back. So it's coming back. It's interesting to see that I didn't see signs of, you know, the storm actually. It looks
Right on Bourbon
fresh.
Street? Or?
No, it's right down near Riverwalk, you know, that vicinity.
Okay.
Yeah, right next to the river.
Oh, okay. So what topics, was there a central theme for this year's conference? And what topics were discussed?
Every year, the Guam Association of Realtors participate with the National Association conventions. And usually they have it in San Francisco, San Diego. We've had it in Chicago. And this year it happened to be in New Orleans. And I think they've even had it in Las Vegas as well. But this year was in New Orleans, and again, it was a very successful convention.
Yeah, what was the major overall theme, if
well,
any?
with the conventions, usually every year we would go, and the board of the Guam Association of Realtors, their officers are usually in attendance, and our president for this year is Louisa Wesley, and she's with BHI Realty. Our EO, which is Peggy Laga, she's usually with the team, and she's the person who kind of coordinates things, ensure that we're attending the proper meetings. So it's where Guam gets in touch with the nation as far as what's going on in our real estate, what's going on with Congress, and updating us. And part of our region happens to be Region 13. And Region 13 is comprised of California, Guam, and Hawaii. So in addition to that, our officers attend meetings like the small boards, the medium size and the large. Of course, we're part of the small board. So we exchange information from all the states nationwide, which is great. We do have a contingency that come in from on the international scale, but we're pretty much teamed up with the nation, the U.S. side.
That's interesting how our region includes the states of Hawaii and California, because those are two places where obviously real estate is very, very sought after, both for residential and commercial use as well. And you know, Guam's always had that reputation too. You know, the military comes here and they're like, wow, you can get a really good piece of property with an amazing view. You know, a lot of the properties you've shown here on House to Home and everything. What are some of the parallels between us, California, and Hawaii, and how do we kind of like fit in with the rest of the nation?
Well, interesting part with when Hawaii did their report, they were talking about their average home prices on Oahu is $600,000, you know, and that's of course, wow, I wish we would have that market average, but, and our average price right now is $200,000, you know, for the middle market. The other islands, of course, are a bit different. The inventory right on Oahu is limited. They're mostly promoting condos right now because the housing market is not as they don't have such a big inventory in comparison. But for Guam, of course, we did our report. We talked about our market, and we're banking on the eventual buildup of the Marines, so that would boost our market, and we're all waiting for that, as you know.
Yeah, that is going to be like a huge economic shift, and a lot of people really looking forward to that.
And some people always ask, well, what does this mean in terms of Guam in relationship to the nation? People don't realize that our rural development loans are dictated by Congress. I mean, it's all federally funded. So the National Association has been very strong in promoting home ownership rights, promoting the protection of our mortgage interest deduction. And I know they've been trying to do away with that. So the National Association has been a strong lobbying effort to support maintaining our ability to claim that interest, you know, in our taxes. So if they pull the plug on that, I mean, that would really affect all of us. So we're kind of keeping our finger on the pulse by staying on top of things, by attending these conventions to benefit our community.
Now, of course, you mentioned Hurricane Katrina and the way that the city of New Orleans and the state of Louisiana were able to come back from that, as well as the Gulf Coast, you know, like in that region of the U.S. We're 6 years removed now from the big financial crisis on a macro scale of '08, with everything that was going on with, you know, property and everything like that. Are we still feeling residual effects in the country as a whole, and does any of that filter down to us here?
Well, in terms of our effects, Guam has always been conservative on the loan side. So if you were to apply for a loan in 2008 versus now, they still are very stringent with the paperwork requirements, like your last 2 years' tax return, all your financial documentation. They pretty much scrutinize everything. And in comparison, we haven't really changed much. I think the only difference now is like the new banking regulations that have come into effect in terms of how the property is appraised, who you can talk to, the banking officers being certified, having a numeric code, you know, with their designation as in their positions. So and I think, like, for example, your credit score, if your credit score was good at 750 and it used to give you a buying power of 400,000, today that credit score might give you a buying power of much less than what we were accustomed to getting before. So I think it's reduced our buying ability with the stringent guidelines now.
Well, it was good to see that Guam is so well represented, not only by the members of your company, but Guam's real estate community as a whole.
We have a very strong and active organization.
All right.
And each year we make it a point to represent Guam well.
All right. Well, we can't wait to talk to you about it some more.
Okay.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you.
All right. Stay tuned, everybody. We are back. More show when we return.